I'm Brian Kinney. I was paralyzed not quite 2 years ago. I wanted to come give you guys a video about the house that I built. Obviously 2 years ago I had a townhouse. I lived in a condo, and as soon as I was in the hospital I had to kind of figure out where I was going to go, because obviously stairs upstairs and stairs downstairs weren't going to work. About a year after my injury I started building this house. It's a Dominion home. Basically just your standard cookie cutter house that I had just modified to work as a handicap accessible house. All right, the biggest thing you'll notice when you come into my house is the hardwood floors. That was the biggest expense as far as making this house handicap accessible. Were the floors. Last place I was staying in had carpet. I mean, somebody who uses a wheelchair just trashes carpet. Plus, this is Ohio. In the winter times, we're tracking in snow, dirt, mud, all kinds of stuff. So trying to keep a hardwood floor clean is obviously the easiest thing. Since I built this house, obviously, as it was being built, I could kind of change what I wanted to. Something that I thought was good for somebody in a wheelchair, I had the switches just lowered down a little bit. They're probably usually about this level, but I just, before they put the drywall up and everything, I just had them hang these a little bit lower. It's not really that big of a deal, but I just think, hey, if I don't have to reach up here, maybe that's a little bit easier. Another thing is you'll notice the outlets are raised up just a little bit higher, and that's something that if I was just taking a regular house and trying to change it, I wouldn't change that, but since I was building this one, I thought it was something I could change. I don't really use the front of the house too much. These are the front two bedrooms. But what I did do was I had these doorways widened. I think they're usually like a 30-inch doorway. I just had these ones widened to 32. So that, I'm not scraping up the door if I wanted to get in here. But like I said, I rarely use the front of the house. This is kind of more of a guest bathroom, and these are two guest bedrooms and an office right now. Let's see what else we got. So as you're coming down the foyer, you'll notice, and actually you may not even notice this, but this wall juts out about a foot. On the other side of that wall is the laundry room, and I wanted to have enough space in the laundry room, like I'll show you in a little bit, to be able to turn around in the laundry room. So I kicked that out a little bit. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to show you is my kitchen. Keep in mind, the kitchen, you could spend, $100,000 on a kitchen if you wanted to. So it's really, what your budget can afford as to how accessible you can make it. I live with somebody who can walk. I don't do a whole lot of cooking, but I can. So obviously this kitchen wasn't something that I had to completely fit to myself. A couple of the changes that I did make though, I have lower countertops. I think they're like 32.5 inches to this point. That just makes it a little bit easier to, if I'm sitting next to it, or if I want to wheel under the sink, it's kind of more at my level. I'm not reaching up really far. Obviously the sink, you can kind of see I can roll under it a little bit more. Come on over here and I'll show you. It's not something I can get real close to, but even that makes, a little bit of a difference. And the sink that I use, one thing they had to change was they had the sink, with these usually mounted in the center, I had to get a sink that kind of pushed everything back a little bit, so it just gives you a little bit more room. Obviously there's a disposal under there, so if it was up here I'd be slamming my knees into it a little bit sooner. The cabinetry is lowered a little bit, but obviously it's not real low. We didn't want to make it look stupid if I was trying to sell this place. We want to make it still usable for an able-bodied person. Basically, I have plenty of access to the lower shelves. Anything higher than that's kind of tricky. If you want to, you can get shelves that come out and they drop down. But that's some money that obviously I didn't have to put into this kitchen. Another thing that I have is this pantry. These shelves usually don't come out all the way to this edge, but I wanted them to come out a little bit farther. I think they're usually 12 inches deep. These are 16 inches deep. So that just gives me a little bit, more room to kind of slide things forward. I use the grabber if I really have to, things that are up in these cabinets and stuff. Basically, that cabinet's probably the only one that I don't have real good access to. But like I said, everything else, I can get everything that's on the bottom shelves and come over here. Pots and pans are under here. Just that kind of odds and ends stuff I try to keep low. And obviously plates I want to keep in reach too. Made. Obviously this is the front of the house. First change is this wheelchair ramp. There used to be steps, well not used to be, but there would have been steps. And this ramp obviously gets rid of those. It's not quite like ADA standard, it's a little bit steeper than that. But with the grade of the front of the house and the length of the ramp, we had to make it just a little more steep. Probably would be okay for somebody like me or somebody in a power chair. Probably somebody older might have a little bit of trouble getting up of it. Would probably want, you know, a little bit of push. And then I've also got this one in my garage. This is the one I use the majority of the time. It's a little less steep, but again, it's not ADA, you know, specific. I think ADA is like 112 pitch, but it works for me. You can see my garage. It's a two-car garage. You know, I've got the ramp and then the toys and stuff taking up half the garage, but I've got plenty of room to get in and out of my driver's side. If I want to get on the other side, I usually park a little bit closer to the center. Okay, so as I go into the house, I just open up this door. I wanted to show you that I actually added this handle right here. That makes it a lot easier for me when I'm coming out of the house. Just to grab that, I don't have to try to reach all the way in to shut the door. So when I go in, I just obviously push it open. I don't have a perfect threshold. Some people would have a little better of a threshold ramp than that. Somebody like me who's in a, you know, just a manual chair, that's something I can easily just kind of hop over. I could roll over it if I had to. It'd be a little, you know, bumpier. That's something to think about if you are maybe in a power chair that weighs a lot more than this. You might want something, a transition that's a little bit smoother than that. Another thing I wanted to mention is this is a 36-inch doorway. I think it's usually, the exterior doors I think were usually a 32, but I could be wrong on that. But obviously that just keeps me from having to scrape up the door more than I obviously have, as you can see. Speaking of thresholds, I did add a little bit of a threshold right there, but I've noticed that I'm so used to just hopping over it anyway. It's more of just a better transition for my back wheels than my front wheels. If you want to come on in, this is the laundry room that I had widened a little bit. I had mentioned earlier this wall was pushed out about a foot, which now that you're in the laundry room, you can see how much of a difference that makes. Turning around, especially when there's not a dog in here. I've got my front-loading washer and dryer that have these pedestals on the bottom. I had these mounted so the doors will open out from one another, which means I can just sit here, basket on my lap, transfer it into one, and then just kind of toss it into the other. I don't have to shut one to open the other. So that's really handy. Another thing I never really thought about when I got these pedestals was the fact that if you think about it, I don't have any storage under my sink in my kitchen. I have a little pantry in there. So these came in really handy for, you know, just cleaners, cleansers, bags, basically whatever I wanted to put under here. I have plenty of room. Obviously I can't use these shelves very much up here, so that's come in really handy. I don't think I've touched that in a long time. I just kind of label stuff in case I ever need it and get somebody else to pull it down. So this is the living room and dining room area. Not really a whole lot accessibility-wise to show you in here. What I do want to show you is kind of the layout is just open. I just tried to keep, you know, plenty of room, you know, around furniture and stuff, so I can easily wheel around. If you've got a lot of furniture, it's, you know, obviously really hard for somebody in a wheelchair to get around. This threshold ramp in the back is also there in case I ever get a deck. This house usually comes with a 6-foot, I think it's a 6-foot long door. This is an 8-foot long door. So once I get a deck, once I can actually afford one, you know, I've just got more room to open the door all the way and roll out onto the deck. So let's go into the bedroom, baby. This is my bedroom. This is where I had the 36-inch doors put in. the 2 doorways going out to the garage and the bedroom, as well as a 36-inch doorway into my bathroom. That's actually kind of overkill for somebody my size, but this being a handicap accessible house, it'll be nice, you know, if somebody else down the road uses it that has a power chair or has a wider manual chair than me. They'll have plenty of room. I don't have to worry at all about scraping up the door like I did in my other places. I think this is also a 32-inch doorway. It's usually a 30. Just makes it a little bit easier to get into my closet. This is the crawl space to the basement. I don't actually have a basement, so I don't spend a whole lot of time down there, obviously. But in my closet, these are usually probably at least another 1.5 feet higher than they are right now. I had them lowered just because it's real easy just to grab my clothes than, you know, having to reach way up. Doesn't give me a whole lot of room underneath, but who cares? I can kind of turn in here, but it's a little tight, obviously. So this is my bathroom. This is actually the reason I picked this model of a house, just because it has a very wide bathroom. I can come in here. I've got a roll under sink, which is awesome. I don't have to brush my teeth and a little bucket on my lap anymore. I can actually roll under the sink and it's fully accessible. Not a whole lot of storage in here. Obviously, these are both just fake cabinets. What I want to do is add actual drawers to these top ones. This usually is where a bathtub would go, but obviously I didn't need a bathtub. This toilet is actually an ADA toilet. It's a little higher than a standard toilet, which is great for transferring. I've got a padded cushion, just because, you know, I obviously don't want to be sitting on a hard cushion or a hard seat since I can't feel my butt. Got the grab bars that were added. There's extra reinforcement behind the wall for these, so that was something I had to think of, obviously, before they put up the drywall. This toilet was also moved down toward the wall, probably about 8 inches. It's usually pretty much smack dab in the middle of this area between the sink and the wall. But having that moved down just makes it a heck of a lot easier. It's something I would have thought about, you know, before I was in a wheelchair, but it really makes a difference. It also gives me plenty of room to get up right next to it, and I just grab that bar, transfer over to the toilet. This is my shower stall. It's not a roll-in shower. I mean, this is the standard shower that comes with this unit. Basically, the only things I changed with this, it usually has a glass door that slides shut. I didn't have them put in that glass door because it would have been, you know, a lot harder to get in and out. And to use the shower, just have a standard bench in here. It's padded just like the seat. I just lock in and I'll just transfer over. I've got the shower. It's obviously not a shower head. It's an extended hose. The nice thing about this, I'll show you. This is kind of silly, but it's got a shut-off valve on it. So as I'm in the shower, I can shut the water off as I'm, you know, soaping and whatnot. I just thought that was pretty handy. A lot handier than the one I used to have. So that's pretty much everything in my house. Like I said, you can do a lot more additions to your handicap accessible house. It's all about what you can afford and, you know, what you think is really necessary. So thanks for watching.